Thank you. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2024. It is 3 p.m. This is the regular council meeting held at 19 Parnell Street. Call the meeting to order, please. Resolution?
Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Greater Madawaska calls to order the September 19th, 2024 regular council meeting at 3 p.m.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Thompson. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Please stand for O Canada. Please be seated. As we gather in chambers, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the unceded traditional territories of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people, express our respect and support for their rich history. We are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Thank you, Miigwech. Section 2.1, approval of agenda, additions or deletions. Resolution, please.
That the agenda of the council meeting of September 19th, 2024 be approved as presented.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Chip, second by Councillor Popke. Do we? All in favor? Thank you. Unanimous, so carried. Approval of minutes, 3.1. Resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the following minutes are approved by council. August 15, 2024, regular council meeting, August 27th, 2024, special council meeting, and September 12th, 2024, special council meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Levesque. We've all had time to review. Any questions, concerns? None? All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Section 4, declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Councillor Tripp.
So, thank you, Mayor. I, Councillor Rob Tripp, declare a pecuniary interest on the regular council agenda of September 19th, 2024, item number 6.2, item titled Bylaw 50-2024, Assumption of Popular Way, and item 12.1, item titled Bylaw Approval for the following reason. I am a part owner of property within the subdivision in which Popular Way is located.
Thank you. And you filed the paperwork with the clerk? Thank you. Any others? There are none seen. Thank you. We will now move on to section 5.1, Protection Services Department. Resolution, please.
That council endorse staff submitting the following roads to be considered for the implementation of automated speed enforcement to the County of Renfrew, Griffith Mile and Mill Street and County Road 511 intersection. This goes on.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So the County of Renfrew has sent a request to the townships requesting to identify roads that we feel would benefit from an automated speed enforcement. So they're looking at implementing at the county level. This would include municipal roads and county roads. So we're to provide council resolution for municipal, but county just endorsement on roads. So what we've highlighted here is the Griffith Mile, recognizing it's not a municipal or county road, it may be considered. So we'd like to review that, seeing there's concerns down Griffith Mile for some time. And then the other road being proposed is at the school area for Mill Street, the corner of Mill Street and County Road 511, and it's a school zone. And so if we proceed in this way, we would also be bringing forward back to council a bylaw to declare that area a community safety zone for school zones.
Thank you. Any questions, discussion items for council? Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. It's very encouraging. We've been talking about this for quite some while. Has there been any discussion or thought to expanding the scope to include 508 and 511? I know this is a completely separate structure, but has there been discussion about a potential expansion? Or provide the same enforcement on those two roads?
So what they're looking at right now is more of a community safety zone and trying to enforce in that way. But I can ask that question. Okay.
Well, certainly on 508 in the front of the school as well would be very helpful as they're coming into the city or into the town where the school is, backing into the church parking lot into the school.
Oh, and so currently we have, okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Following on Councillor Tripp's, now my understanding, a community safety zone is school zones, community areas, and areas where pedestrian traffic can take place, or high density pedestrian traffic. And I'm just wondering whether, when we propose this to the county, would we take the opportunity to look at the parking lot at Eagle's Nest? We have a lot of families and children that go in that area. I don't know whether it does fit the mandate or not, but maybe it's something we might want to explore.
If council wishes, I could adjust the resolution to include that to be considered.
Do we need a motion for that, or just, it's, because this is, or just direction to staff to see if it's possible, or?
That I can make an adjustment if council wishes to move or second, or we'd have to agree to. I can adjust the motion and then we can reread it.
Okay, do we have a mover and a seconder for the possibility of looking at the Eagle's Nest area for safety? Okay, and all in favor? That is unanimous, thank you. And now that's part of this. Now we have to go back to the overall, correct?
You want me to reread it?
Yeah, please.
That council endorse staff submitting the following roads to be considered for the implementation of automated speed enforcement to the County of Renfrew: Griffith Mile, Mill Street, and County Road 511 intersection school zone, and the Eagle's Nest parking area.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to section 6.1, Building and Planning Department. Resolution, please.
That council approves bylaw 48-2024 for the acquisition and assumption as a public highway, a portion of Bridges Road designated as Part 1 and 2 on reference plan 49R 20690.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, seconder. Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So, Bridges Road is a year-round.
Excuse me, microphone, please. Thank you.
So Bridges Road is a year-round maintained road, township road, and so there has been a severance done on Bridges Road, and the township has asked for, it was a forest road, so now they asked for the road allowance, and it has been surveyed, and they're giving it to the municipality is the reason for this. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you, Steve. Well, now moving on to section 6.2, and this is where Councillor Tripp has declared pecuniary interest. Thank you. Thank you. 6.2 bylaw 50-2024, assumption of popular way. Resolution, please.
That council adopt bylaw 50-2024, being a bylaw authorizing the assumption of the part of the road lying in front of lots 1 and 2 on plan of subdivision PLR 516, registered plan 516.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So Poplar Way has been progressively assumed by the township since 1998. The township assumed the land between Elm and the western limits of Lot 3, registered plan 516, and upon Elm Road between Kennedy Road and the western limits of Lot 19. The property has changed ownership, however, the subdivision agreement remains in effect. In 1998, the township assumed Poplar Way up to west of Lot 3. The end of Poplar Way was closed off with a berm and signage. The township has not assumed any portions of the road within the subdivision since this time. In June 2024, council approved entering into an agreement with the owner to complete the remaining roads by October 2026 as outlined in the agreement. The owner shall bring the end of Poplar Way in acceptable standards and sign the agreement prior to the township assuming the end of Poplar Way to the western limits of Lot 1. Should the owner fail to bring the township standard and sign agreement, the road will not be assumed by the township. So he has got the engineer report. It's all been finalized, and I have taken a look at it, and he's done all of the up to standard, and he has signed the agreement that when we do maybe chunks on Kennedy Road in a few years, we'll surface treat it, and he will surface treat the remaining part of Poplar Way as well when the time comes.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion? Councillor Thompson.
I'm just curious, Elm seems to lead to a dead end, and Poplar Way, is it Poplar Way that comes up? Looks like it was at one point might have been intended to be another connection to 508. Is that part of the original plan, or has it changed? Or,
The end of Poplar?
or one of them? You got to look at the map.
Yeah, the end of Poplar at one time was supposed to come out to the county road, but then the county denied that request and wouldn't allow another intersection to come out because there's already two from Kennedy. They wouldn't allow it. That's why there's a cul-de-sac in there now.
Okay, and Elm has, it looks as though there's a path or something on Google Maps going through. Is that
Yeah.
ever going to be
So that's the next phase of his subdivision, is he's to complete that
Okay.
with the next agreement for us to assume. We already assumed a short piece of Elm just past Poplar where you turn left, and then he's supposed to finish that next.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion items? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We'll wait for Councillor Tripp to get back in. Thank you, Councillor Tripp. Section 7.1, bylaw 46-2024, appointment of livestock and poultry valuer.
The council approves bylaw 46-2024 to appoint Jennifer Stewart as livestock and poultry valuer for the Township of Greater Madawaska, and that council repeals bylaw 16-2019.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second Councillor Popke. Background, please. Madam Clerk.
Hi, yeah. So in 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs established a program known as the Ontario Wildlife Damage Compensation Program. The purpose of the program is to provide financial assistance to eligible owners whose livestock or poultry have been killed or injured as a result of wildlife predation. The program requires that municipalities appoint a livestock valuer for the purpose of carrying out investigations for submitting claims. Recently, a resident requested to submit a claim for lost livestock. When we looked into our valuer or our investigator, she was no longer available. The township had not been informed of this, and this is the first case that we've had since 2019. So we reached out to McNabb Braeside for assistance in finding a valuer so that we could do the investigation. They recommended theirs, Jennifer Stewart. So she promptly provided the services we needed, and she's agreed to be appointed as our valuer. So staff is recommending to appoint her and setting remuneration at $115 per application plus the current mileage rate.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns, or discussion items? Well, I do have to say, when I saw this on our agenda today, I had to look up what the position was because I had personally never heard of it, and I'm glad that staff was so diligent and able to get this done quickly. So, and thanks very much for, as you say, we haven't had a situation like this since 2019, and so thank you for that. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to section 7.2, bylaw 47-2024. Resolution, please.
That council approves bylaw 47-2024 to authorize entering into an agreement with Schooley Mitchell to conduct a free analysis of select expensive i.e. telecom, merchant services, et cetera, to identify potential cost savings.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Levesque. Background, please.
So over the summer months, the township was contacted by Neil Brady of Schooley Mitchell regarding a service that they provide to municipalities to assist in lowering their expenses and to create significant cost savings across several expense categories. And so on August 14th, I met with Neil to listen to his proposal and experience. So they are cost reduction experts who have been successful for over 20 years, helping towns and cities and municipalities all over Ontario. They provide a risk-free audit that could result in significant savings and service improvements. In return, their audit is provided on a contingency basis. So they're only paid out of the approved savings for a specified time frame. So in return, whatever we find, whatever our savings is, they earn 50% of the cost savings for a period of 2 years. And once the 2-year period is complete, the township will earn all the savings. So I spoke with Neil, and there were some areas that I would like to concentrate on, specifically telecom, merchant services. to see what kind of savings. So we're kind of, there's no loss to join this program. Any recommendations that he makes, we do not have to participate in. It's at our discretion. So there's no financial liability owing to them if we decide that anything he brings forward, we choose just to remain status quo. Any questions?
Thank you. And I see Mr. Brady is online, and so that if we have any questions for him, I'm assuming
He's
he'll be
joined
able
us
to.
today. If there's any questions, he's more than happy to ask them if I'm unable to help out.
Thank you. Councillor Levesque. Your hand was up, sir, so I went for you.
Thank you, Jen. This is a good idea. I mean, this is a great way to save money without having to spend any, so that's great. Just a question, you said telecom services?
Yeah, so like our mobile phones plans, mostly our mobile phone plans. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards. And like our credit card and credit card fees from third-party providers. So that's where I'm aiming. I know I spoke to Neil and he said, you know, if we get through one area and then we finish that and we want to move on, we could just keep going. But we'll see how much time, obviously it will involve staff time and Neil's time as well. So we'll see, potentially we'll try to get as much savings as we can.
Okay, that was my lead question, was what's next, if anything? And because they do obviously look at everything from top to bottom. So, and I don't know what kind of services we have that are bundled with other townships versus we're doing on our own and that kind of thing. So, but that would be something I think for the future.
So ideally, my focus, my main focus will be on merchant services right now. The increase in credit card use it's increasing every day. It's easy for to ratepayers to go online and use their credit card services, and we get charged a fee for that. So I'd like to save. There are multiple companies out there, and that's where this company will do all the research and provide us with the best alternative option.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Councillor Thompson.
I just want to be clear on the sorts of things. Is it all just monetary transactions, or is it also efficiencies of staff use or things like that?
From my understanding, it's the cost savings. So we're looking for areas that we can improve our cost savings. Like there's certain maybe programs that we could be participating in that are available to us that we're unaware of. And Neil and his team are quite aware of what those packages are and any areas that we could probably benefit from. So.
Thank you. Any other questions? Neil, may I ask a question of you?
Sure.
Just a quick overview. We have a volunteer fire service here that uses radios. Our staff uses radios for the road services and maintenance services. Do you look into bundles and purchasing power for radio communication as well?
No, we do not. On the telecom front, we can look at as much as little. That is one area we do not look at. But generally, with the municipality, it would be, cellular phones, local services, long distance, internet, conference calling, if you have it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you, Neil, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Section 7.3, exercise extension of auditing services. Resolution, please.
That council directs staff to proceed with the extension clause from bylaw 49-2021 for fiscal year 2024 auditing services.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Tripp, second by Councillor Thompson. Background, please.
So in 2021, the Township of Greater Madawaska, in collaboration with some neighboring municipalities, issued an RFP for audit services based on a 3-year term for the years 2021 to 2023, with an option of extension for years 4 and 5. On September 20th, 2021, Council approved bylaw 49-2021, awarding the audit services to Welsh LLP. As the Township will now enter the extension period for the 2024 fiscal year audit, staff recommends extending the audited services for this period. The 2024 audit will commence shortly with interim testing beginning this fall. And the option to extend is quoted at $35,000 plus net HST.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? There are none seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Moving on to section 7.4, 2005 budget direction resolution, please.
That council endorse the 2025 budget direction.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Tripp. Thank you. Background, please.
So every year, council and staff work to balance the cost of providing township services with existing resources. There are many important steps in the budgeting process, and our initial step is to create a schedule to communicate with managers and council our steps, timelines, and expectations to ensure comprehensive review is complete. Staff are aiming to have the 2025 budget adopted at a special council meeting in December of 2024 So in order to ensure this deliverable, I've set out some major activities, one being the budget direction today. The second meeting held November 13th, which will be a 2025 draft budget presentation where you'll see your binders of the revenues and expenses and the changes that have occurred or that are recommending. And then on regular council meeting, no, December 5th, we'll have budget deliberations for any questions, concerns, or comments. And then a tentative special council meeting scheduled for December 17th for the adoption of the 2025 operating and capital budget. So far, staff have identified budget opportunities and pressures that must be considered going in the 2025 budget. So today, I'm just bringing forward to you so you're open-minded on what we're already know that's going to occur, that's going to happen for 2025. A 1% tax rate based on the 2024 current CVA would generate $42,591 in revenue annually. So that's just something to start thinking about. Some growth, some revenue opportunities. So the assessment growth, taxation revenues generated from new properties are estimated to increase by $38,000. And the Canada Community Building Fund. So with the new CCBF agreement for 2025, we're allocated $93,976 compared to the previous amount of $90,044. So this represents a small increase of $3,700 approximately. We have some pressures related to police services, fire, cost of living adjustments, insurance, and the capital budget. And I guess what I'd really like to focus on is the capital budget. The draft 2025 capital budget includes AMP and DC needs. And there's a total estimated cost that we're projecting of $2.4 million for 2025. Obviously, these will have to be issued by a debenture. And I've listed the projects and the values in your package today. The capital forecast, and I've also included the long-range capital forecast, includes several projects which require funding through development charges. However, the projected costs of these projects exceed the available reserve, creating a deficit. Recognizing that growth pressures and capital expenditures related to growth may occur before funds are incurred, we are recommending the capital costs be debentured, allowing for revenues to be collected to fund the interest and principal, which ensures growth-related projects are not supplemental by the tax levy. So if you see for the 2025 capital forecast, we have a major component of Madawaska Road that's in the forecast to be maintained. 80% of this will be DC funded, and 20% will be operating or reserves. Okay. So the 2022 asset management plan, I think we have this conversation over and over again. We're trying to stress the importance of this major, this funding gap that all municipalities are seeing right now. Our funding gap is $1.5 million. The financial strategy, a financial strategy was developed to address this annual gap, which included a 1.6% increase annually. So for 2025, we're estimating this to be about $67,550 in additional contribution to reserves. I've also provided a chart on the next page of your report, basically addressing the funding and how the township has been trying to proactively increase our contribution to reserves. And as you can see, since 2023, our annual contribution has increased by 149,000. So, it's a good direction. So, we want to try to get as much as we can into those reserves to cover that funding gap. What I'd like to bring to your attention today is the long-range capital forecast. So we have attached the 10-year long-range capital forecast for your review. The forecast identifies major road projects and equipment costs over the coming years, and do the projected expenditures exceeding our current reserve contributions. We are working on a funding strategy, like an additional funding strategy, to find out, how we can try to fund this, whether we're going to do debentures. So our options, and what you'll have to consider when I bring forward in future, is the options and difficult decisions that will need to be made include whether we increase our contribution to reserves, which would involve raising the tax levy and potentially incurring new debt, or utilizing the reserves, which would deplete our current reserves completely while also taking on new debt, or postponing projects, delaying projects to future years if they're able to, potentially in combination with new debt and while the retirement of existing debt occurs, and or reducing levels of service. So basically scaling back services as a way to manage costs. We, as part of the July 1st, 2025 asset management plan requirements, staff will be working on a financial strategy based on maintaining a level of service, decreasing the level of service, or alternatively increasing the level of service. So this, we will be talking, and we will be bringing reports forward in the future and commenting about where we would like to go and how this will financially impact us, okay? So there are no financial implications in endorsing this 2025 budget direction and information. This information is presented to you for consideration when we bring the budget forward for approval. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Thompson.
I understand at some point, the money from investment, development charges, at some point, it'll start catching up with what we have to do. I understand that. I'm wondering, though, about cash in lieu for parklands, that kind of thing. Where is that money, and can that be used for things like what I'd dearly love to see, toilets at the boat launches, garbage pickup at all the public spaces? Can that be used for things that make park use better? And it can be used right away.
I can look into that. When I think about the cash in lieu of parkland, it's a dedicated reserve normally for purchase of parks, property or lands, or a development of an actual park, but I can look into that and get back to you.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Levesque.
Thank you, Jen. I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring it up, but one of the things that has come up in the last month or two is the lack of a public dock now that a dock has been removed in Calabogie. And I did mention to the CAO a little while ago about that, so I don't see that in here. I may have missed it, but how do we add something like that? Is that now, or is it sometime in the future?
I just take a shot at that. So that is something that we haven't discussed or put a motion forward at council for. So I think if you'd have to do a notice of motion to bring it forward to us so that we can have discussion on that. I believe, I'll turn to our CAO, but I believe that would be the correct method of doing that.
When we bring budget direction forward, what we're looking for is feedback on this is the way we're heading in, and if there is consideration that council would like anything to be considered either now or when we present the budget, we would want to know ahead of time to be able to consider something.
So council would have
if you want to have a conversation about it and consider this and have it come back as part of when we present the budget, then you would provide us direction right now. Yeah.
So if you'd like us, would you like to discuss it now?
Sure, if that's okay for everybody.
So just a comment on this budget directive. So the budget directive is basically bringing forward the capital asset requirements, which is what is listed in our asset management plan right now. These are current resources that have to be maintained or replaced as per asset management or the DC plan. Any new projects, if you'd like to bring forward, that's where we start getting into the budget. So when we started going into budget deliberations and discussing it, if you have something that you would like to bring forward as well, we could have staff look into the cost of that and the impact of that on the budget at that time. So,
So bring it up in a future meeting?
my recommendation is that today is just what we know so far. These are the actions. We are not planning, we know what we have right now. And we know that this is the plan that we need to move forward with. And for future, if there's, increase of levels of service that you would like to do, or, something that's not on our existing plan right now, and you would like to bring it forward, then that's part of the budget deliberation process, where we can investigate how much that will be, and then we could come back and say what the impact of that would be on the levy and reserves.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
No, I just got thrown. Oh, yes. Do we need the resolution read again, or are we good? All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. And thank you, Jen, for clarifying that for us. We'll now move on to 7.5, Taste of the Valley endorsement.
That council endorses the expression of interest for the Taste of the Valley as presented, and that council confirms the Township of Greater Madawaska will adhere to the hosting guidelines as required by the County of Renfrew, and that council allocates $5,000 from the existing operating budget to the Taste of the Valley event, pending the township selection approval by the county.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second Councillor Popke. Background, please.
The Township of Greater Madawaska was successful with the expression of interest for the Taste of the Valley 2023, and the event was hosted by the Township at the Dan O'Neill Arena. The event included 64 registered vendors and roughly 1,000 visitors, and this event was hugely successful for both participants and attendees. The event was very positively reviewed by Taste of the Valley organizers as well as by participating vendors and attendees, and we would love the opportunity to submit an application to host here again in 2025.
Thank you. Do we have any questions, comments? Councillor Tripp?
Sorry.
Oh.
I was going to move it, it's only been done.
Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? No, the only comment I'd like to make is the last Taste of the Valley we had here was extremely well received. It was a great event, and I'm all for this. I think it's a great way to bring people into our community and showcase it. So thank you. Councillor Hopke.
Is it the same time period as it was last time?
So when we do the application, we have to give 3 options for dates, all of which fall in September of 2025. So they tell us what date is the most successful, but we give them 3 options that we would be okay with running with.
Thank you. No further questions seen. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. We will now move on to section 7.6, new township logo presentation. And Jennifer.
Okay, so before I delve fully into the presentation, I would like to give a bit of a background as to how this evolved in the last 9 months. This project came with a feeling of responsibility for trying to find a design that would represent the township in the most reflective, dynamic, and inclusive way possible. In early 2024, the Township of Greater Madawaska worked with Cinnamon Toast to complete a marketing strategy, and the report of findings provided us with a very clear picture as to what the most important values and aspects of the township are through the eyes of those within the township who completed surveys and provided input. Through this process, we feel as though the true sentiments of Greater Madawaska were captured, and the next step, once the marketing strategy was complete, was to enter into a branding project with Cinnamon Toast. Over the last few months, we have worked closely with Cinnamon Toast to finalize a design that would represent and incorporate the aspects highlighted in the marketing strategy as being most important to and appreciated by those who visit or call Greater Madawaska home. I can't. So these are some of the results from the surveys that were in our marketing strategy, and you can see that a lot of the responses focus on scenic landscapes, natural surroundings, and outdoor enjoyment. When determining the best option to move forward with as a new township logo, it was important to listen to the community feedback received during our marketing strategy surveys. Responses from community surveys and correspondence helped to determine the aspects of the township that are most loved and the qualities to try to capture in the new logo. By showcasing and incorporating the aspects that are so strongly loved and reiterated throughout the marketing strategy, we are creating a brand image that will be widely accepted by those living, working, and visiting here. These are the results of the survey from the marketing strategy, which show which elements of the township are most important to residents and visitors. The marketing strategy project was the foundation for this branding exercise, as it really helped to gather and bring together the information needed to determine how the township is viewed and what goals should be in place going forward. That project and the data collected through it helped the township to formulate a brand story, a brand promise, and a positioning statement, which was vital when moving forward with the rebranding project. For the brand story, that's covered here. Nestled in the heart of the Ottawa Valley, the township of Greater Madawaska stands as a testament to the timeless beauty in nature and the enduring spirit of community. The brand promise, to foster an inviting and inclusive community that encourages growth, respects its strong heritage and natural environment, and is dedicated to maintaining the strong sense of togetherness that defines Greater Madawaska. And our positioning statement. Set among stunning lakes, rivers, and beautiful mountain ranges, Greater Madawaska harmonizes a serene, unhurried lifestyle with dynamic, year-round outdoor activities. These are the inspiration photos used in the design of the new logo and the colors included in it. Many were submitted by residents of Greater Madawaska, tourists to the area, and some from myself taken on adventures around the township. The ones from residents and tourists were submitted during a photo drive initiative organized by myself, where people were asked to submit their favorite photos from around the township and of their favorite amenities and location. The result of this photo drive were revised Instagram and Facebook pages that are now full of vibrant colors, beautiful landscapes and photos, and images depicting the places and visuals that are dearly loved by locals and tourists alike. By using photos provided by residents and visitors, it helps to foster a sense of pride in this new logo, as the inspiration has been derived directly from the community. It demonstrates that the township appreciates, respects, and wants to incorporate the feelings of the community. The final logo design was not something that was quickly completed. It took months of trying to incorporate the aspects of the township that were most reflective of the area and those who love it, and many revisions in order to land at a design that was felt to be the best representation of the area and that would create a recognizable brand that stands out among others. These next few slides are the progression from the initial concepts to the final design and the thought process behind it. So these were some of the initial concepts that were brought forward. Once we were able to determine the preferred choice out of the initial concepts, which was the M, it allowed us to move forward with revisions on that design in order to get the final concept. So there was feedback provided on the different designs, and the N tended to be the one that stood out among all the others. However, it did not have the G in order to properly represent Greater Madawaska, so it had to be incorporated into the logo, which is how we got to here. So we worked through the progression of the logos. These were the first revisions that we were given of the G and the M. And from there, we moved forward to finalize what we feel like is the best representation of the area. We wanted to include the rocky hills that are found throughout the township, but remove the small trees from the G on the top left. The bottom right is our final design. By removing the trees from the G, it allows for easier application on clothing and merchandise and makes it a little bit less tricky in order for embroidery and stuff like that. The brand rationale. When determining the final design, it was important to explore the rationale behind each of the elements of the new logo. This logo tells a story about the township and truly incorporates the characteristics of the area that have been highlighted through the marketing strategy and photos submitted by those within the area. The G symbolizes the thrill of exploration inspired by the township's rugged terrain and the iconic Eagle's Nest Lookout. The white space within the M captures the serene scenery typical of the region, winding waterways and roads with the moon resting above evergreen silhouettes, evoking a sense of warmth and acting as a beacon for the curious explorer. The logo's natural yet vibrant color palette reflects the changing seasons and the breathtaking beauty of the region's forests and waterways. This is the final result of this rebranding project and something that we have been so excited to unveil. We truly feel as though this logo will be widely accepted by the community as it is directly reflective of their responses through community outreach. And we just wanted to show it on a dark and a white background, and we have more options coming up as well. The brand story behind this design is important and highlights how this logo has successfully incorporated the many beloved and renowned aspects of the area, as well as how it will resonate with residents and tourists alike. All of these elements have been noted in either the marketing strategy results or through the photos submitted. Not only does it bring together the colors of the township, but it also includes many of the elements the Greater Madawaska is most known for. The gradient in the logo also represents the transition from sunrise to sunset within the township and the beauty of our natural surroundings. The trees were important because they represent the natural beauty enjoyed through all seasons across the township and the abundance of forested areas. The G contains the rugged terrain and rocky hills, which incorporates the trails, hills, and off-road experiences loved by residents and tourists. The shape of one of the most photographed rock formations from Eagle's Nest was used, as is one of the most well-known attractions in Greater Madawaska. The waterway, roadways, and trails, this aspect of the logo allows people to interpret it in the way that resonates with them the most. It has been incorporated to represent the much-loved waterways throughout the township, but can also represent the winding roads regularly explored by residents and tourists, or the many beautiful trail systems within the township. The evolution of logos. When displayed next to other logos from other municipalities, it's easy to see that Greater Madawaska's stands out. There it is. More municipalities are going with initials and simple designs and are moving away from complicated pictures. The new direction in logo design provides many benefits. Fluid use of the image in different applications and various color schemes creates a recognizable brand without the need for the inclusion of the full title, and it prevents the need to rebrand every decade in order to remain modern. When aiming for something timeless that still contains layers and depths, this logo contains features that will resonate with the locals who love them so much. By using graphics reflective of the community, Greater Madawaska's logo stands out amongst neighboring designs and is easily recognizable on its own. If you look at many of the logos here, if you did not have the name included with it, often you wouldn't know what they were representing, which is something that we were really striving to get away from. We wanted to be able to use a logo as a standalone without having to include the title all the time, but there is the option of writing the Township of Greater Madawaska as well. So these are some of the applications. Whether in full color, such as the flags, or neutral colors on merchandise, the logo retains its depth and brand recognition. So we wanted to give some of the examples that they provided to us in the branding guide in there, and to show the different areas that it can be used on and the different variations. So it doesn't always have to be full color. Even in symbol colors, it is really, really a standout design. And finally, the creation of a tagline. So a brand can be defined as a system of beliefs which help to define a municipality and attract others to it. A tagline can be used to communicate those beliefs. The creation of a tagline can help to voice the values and goals of a municipality and entice people to visit or invest in the area. This is a great opportunity for council to provide ideas, and once we have narrowed down a list, we can go out to the public to not only announce the new logo, but use a survey to determine the best popular choice for a tagline. This helps to include the community and foster a sense of pride not only in the new logo design, but also through their inclusion in the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will open the floor up to council. Councillor Levesque.
Thank you, Jen. That's really, really good. I know it's been a lot of work and a lot of back and forth to get here, and we really appreciate the effort that everybody put in, especially you. I think the design is great, and I think it really reflects kind of what it is and who we are and all those good things. Now that we've seen the final, the only concern I might have is on the G if the Greater Madawaska name is not included, because it's very hard to distinguish it as a G versus a C. Just something to consider, and you may have thought about that, but That's the only comment I have on that. It's not a negative because it looks great, just it's the only concern I have. Because if it's always going to have a Greater Madawaska as the print, then it wouldn't be required, but otherwise, yeah, looks fantastic.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson? Oh, sorry. Jen,
So-
my apologies.
Sorry, no, that's okay. So that actually was a concern that Renee and I had discussed in the G. We wanted to present this final concept to see council's opinion on it, but the door is not closed for a revision on the G. Our idea was to lower the mountains a little bit and make it a little bit more of a defined G, but going back to the consultation company with council's feedback was going to be super helpful in getting them to go forward with another revision.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
I like it. I had the same concern about the G, like when the trees were removed, the little lip on the G went away. But I just want to, so this is the palette. Any of these colors can be used on the logo if you need just one color.
So when you do a branding project, they present you with basically a branding guide. So it helps you with social media and different applications. Is that me?
Let's turn yours off, Lois. There we go.
So once we complete the final project, they will provide us with a branding guideline. So the logo can be done in whatever color you'd like it to. If you want it in white on simple projects, dark forest green. But we're doing marketing and other social media and stuff like that. When you use the branding template, it keeps everything looking cohesive and more recognizable when you tend to use the same color palette.
And then to confirm, so that is the palette on the side that can be used, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Oh, Councillor Popke.
Can you explain that tagline process?
So these were some of the suggestions that came forward from the brand or from the company. So those were some of the ones that were suggested, playing off of the name Greater Madawaska, so greater in Madawaska and stuff like that. A tagline, not all municipalities use them, but they can be kind of good, like I said, to tell a story. So if you can think of anything that's kind of a play off of the name of Greater Madawaska, mainly hashtags on social media, that's a lot of what it's used for on there, is develop a social media tag that goes along with the township. So the process is basically trying to find something catchy that you think is reflective of the township, not a huge sentence, but something that if we were doing social media posts, it becomes a regular to be included on there.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm going to echo the sentiment of Councillor Levesque, and that when I first glance, I went, is that a C or a G? So I'm agreeing with that, and the color palette I love because it does show the orange as part of our fall season and the different colors, so I'm really enthused about that. The Councillor Levesque's question was whether the GM in conjunction would always have the Greater Madawaska. I'm thinking maybe on some branding, once we get down the line and people are used to it, that we may not have to put the Greater Madawaska part in. So I think that C and G would be paramount to have that distinction. And I do have to say I do like the hashtag. It's in the name because we're already greater. But I think getting that message out. But I thank you for your time on this, but as I said, when at first glance, I went, is that a C or a G? So I think if we work towards clarifying that a bit, this would be fabulous, but you've done great work on it, and I know it's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort, and on behalf of council, thank you for that. So, and this, Councillor Thompson.
If we're going to be messing with it, I think the mountains are a little too Rocky Mountain-y. You know, these are green mountains, so if you're going to put the G in there, maybe make them less pointy. That's very minor. I wouldn't have said it if we weren't changing it. Thank you.
Thank you. And as this is an information item, we do not need to vote on it, but I thank you very much for this. Thank you. Excuse me. We'll move on to section 8, 8.1, Climate Action Committee. Recommendation, please.
The council support the Kitchissippi Ottawa Valley chapter of the Council of Canadians in their initiative to form a Climate Action Committee of Renfrew County Council.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, seconder. Councillor Levesque. Background, please.
Do you want to read it?
It's your motion.
Since it's my motion, I'll read it. At the June 20th, 24 regular council meeting of the Township of Greater Madawaska, a representative for the Kitchissippi Ottawa Valley chapter of the Council of Canadians made a presentation to council about their climate action initiatives in the Upper Ottawa Valley watershed, which includes the Township of Greater Madawaska. At that time, council thanked them for the presentation. However, there is no motion on the table to support KOVCC, Kitchissippi Ottawa Valley chapter of the Council of Canadians' efforts to bolster the region's climate action capacity through the formation of a county-wide climate action committee of council. So that's the motion, is to support them. So make it a formal support if we can. I just want to add that already they're doing things. There's a climate action forum taking place in Eganville on October 1st at the Eganville Legion, 9:30 to 3:30. And it is gathering together, that the hope is to gather together as many organizations and representatives from organizations across the watershed area to start joining forces, to start opening a dialogue to see what do we need, what are we working on. And they've already discovered that in looking for the fire chief's phone info, there's no database for it.
I think we're getting into the scope of.
A little out of the scope.
Yeah.
Okay, anyhow.
Yeah.
I just want to say that's the sort of thing that they can work, and a committee of council in Renfrew will include Pikwakanagan, so it will be the whole watershed if it moves forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns from council? Councillor Tripp.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this forward to us. So they're looking for our support in their initiative to form a Climate Action Committee of Renfrew County Council. Have they talked to the county level about this initiative, and have they had their support? And are there other municipalities that are also supporting? Thank you.
They have had several meetings with the county. At this point, the county has told them we're busy getting our energy reports done, but they're open to getting something going. Part of the issue is staff time at this point, but they are open to moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplemental?
Thank you. And other municipalities, have they been approached, the respective councils, to see if they'd also support? And specifically, sorry, I'll stop there.
Well, the process is ongoing. This is one of the first. They're going to be going to various councils and making presentations and asking.
Thank you. I have a question. They're based out of where?
There isn't a single organization. Everybody's working from home, basically. It's the Canadian Council of Canadians is a national organization, and this is their chapter. There's some in Eganville, some in Laurentian Valley. There's one in Greater Madawaska. So they're all over the place, but this is their area.
So and next follow-up is, who do they have as subject matter experts?
Oh, they've got.
And their background, because that's not included here, so.
Okay, yeah, they've got a wonderful group. We've got professional planners, 2 of them retired. They're climate scientists. I mean, they're communications people. They've got a really good, it's a small group at this point, and that's why they think a committee would be better to get more like that, but they've got a good starting point.
Okay, and, sorry, so they don't have an office anywhere? Where's the majority of their people?
I don't know the addresses, of all of them.
No, I don't
so-
mean the address, but where?
No, I wasn't going to give you
Yeah.
the address, but I did list, I know there's Laurentian Valley, there's Eganville, Greater Madawaska, Horton. So, yeah, they're all over. They usually have virtual Zoom meetings and whatnot.
Okay. And I know that they approached back in May this year, the county council, and that was each, so they will not be able to go back to county council with the same proposal till next May, which is 9 months away. Because it's already been there once, and unless they have a different mandate, they cannot bring it back. So this is some 9 months away, and I would feel more comfortable having an understanding of where the majority of their staff or people, volunteers are. I would feel more comfortable myself if where they're from, they approach their municipality, and then that municipality then requests us to endorse them. Because right now I don't have enough background on the people within, like what their expertise are. And because I don't know, you mentioned they're planners, scientists and stuff, but we don't have any background for me to feel comfortable that they are subject matter experts in this document. So if we had, for me, if we had more background on the actual group and understanding what their goals are, because on the surface, I'm looking at this, I don't see that we have the evidence that they are subject matter experts. So that's just my thoughts. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that's a requirement. They are hoping to get a committee going that will have those subject matter experts. They have a level of expertise, but nobody says Renfrew County, if and when they go ahead with this, will be using them on the committee. They just want one formed. So, you know, when you form a committee, you ask for resumes and expressions of interest, and it'll be up to Renfrew County who's actually on that final committee. So I just want us to, I would like to see if this council is willing to back their efforts to get that started. And one of the ways they're doing it is through this forum and various other things to start gathering people right away.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns? None at this time. All in favor? All opposed? Undecided? Undecided. So this motion does not pass. Thank you. We move on to section. I believe it can be brought back in a year's time. I would have to refer to the clerk on that.
I believe you'd have to do a notice of reconsideration,
Notice of reconsideration.
or a motion of reconsideration, I mean, and have approval for it to be brought back
Okay, at this time or at a later date?
the next time somebody wants to bring
Okay,
it back.
next time. All right, thank you. We'll move on to section 8.2, Improve Health Services, Resolution 176-24.
The council directs the CAO to explore opportunities for improved health services in the township and to report back to council with findings and recommendations for council's consideration.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. Background, please. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is really to formalize or provide a mandate for our CAO and her team to explore options for the expansion of the medical center. In January of 2023, Dr. Lane approached council with his observations as to the status of the current facility, and there were both operational and structural holdbacks of the building or challenges that he faced. So that presented us with an opportunity to start having informal discussions in terms of options moving forward. Over the period of, since his presentation in 23, we've had the opportunity to explore what other communities have done through our attendance at the Rural Ontario Municipal Association meeting in 2023, met with communities that had addressed issues of expansion or modification of their health facilities. We've also had an opportunity to do a site visit to scope out a really informal feasibility study to determine if this was an issue that, or an opportunity that we should look at pursuing. And then following that, most recently at the 2024 AMO conference, we had an opportunity to meet again with some of the communities that we had talked to, as well as a number of others that had started to scope out and build enhanced medical centers. In our community, there are opportunities for us with the recent announcement of the family health team between the Renfrew Victoria Hospital and Calabogie. There are opportunities and funding models available based on our rural position with the Ministry of Health. And I think looking in terms of our demographic shifts in the community, as well as the increase in population that we're seeing, there is a business case. There's value in exploring a business case to move along with the expansion of a medical center. Mandating our staff gives them the opportunity to have discussions with funders at the federal and provincial level, as well as opportunities for the development of a center, and then come back with options, information, and direction from council at a future date.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns, discussion items? Councillor Levesque.
Thank you, Councillor Tripp. Just a question, will council or a member of council be involved in that process, or will it be entirely handed over without that involvement?
Great question, thank you. I believe that this motion is to direct it to staff, and it would be a staff initiative. This is not, I think, a political initiative. This is for us giving them the mandate to come back, so that it is not an individual, it is the group sitting at the table. It's a council decision as this moves forward. But thanks for clarifying. That's a very important point.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I just want to say this is great that it's going forward. I think a lot of background work has been done on it. And, you know, our vision for the future, you know, it's in our mission statement or the strategic plan, is to deal with this. So yes, I think we really need to move this forward, make it happen. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Tripp.
Thank you. Just to follow up on both of the comments, so thank you both again. It's important also to note that this is not just about what we refer to as the Calabogie Medical Center, specific to Calabogie. This is an initiative that will be township-wide, and that goes to Councillor Levesque's comment about the structure. It will be a staff-led initiative. They will report back to council, and we as councillors respecting our various wards will have input into the plan and the future direction. But it's township-wide, not just limited to Calabogie. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? I would just like to add into this too that currently the building where our health center is right now in Calabogie is a building that is owned by the municipality. And although healthcare is an initiative that is the responsibility of the province, the building itself, if it's a municipal building and we lease it out to the doctors, we are not interfering with the mandate of the province in regard to healthcare. As this is not, healthcare is not a municipal issue, it is a provincial issue. However, a municipal building that would offer a space for healthcare is part of it falls within our mandate. So I just wanted to make that clear that we are not taking on issues that the province should be taking care of. We are creating a building that, or possibly a building, or maybe not a building, who knows. Anyways, we're looking at that aspect, but this will allow staff to interact with it. But my other concern on saying that is does staff have the scope to do this at this time, or what is our proposed timeline for information back? Because we also have to take into consideration the amount that is on staff's plate as well. So I'm just wondering if you could elaborate on what you're thinking a timeline for response from staff is.
Thank you. So I do recognize the bandwidth of our staff at this moment. There is a lot going on. I would expect over the coming months, there would be meetings with around the funding model, around the opportunities, and coming back in a few months with a sketch. If it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, I don't see us building in the next 12 months. It's a long process. So the first phase, and I defer to staff that they could come back to us with a work plan in terms of how they see this unfolding based on their bandwidth and based on their early, we're just opening the door to them now. Let them walk through the door, find out what they need to know, come back to us with a work plan and lay out the timeline. But we're not talking about building a center tomorrow. This will take, as with the communities we've already talked to, it's a 12 to 24-month process before we turn sod.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we had achievable expectations for staff and also for the public information. So thank you. Councillor Levesque.
One comment on a follow-up of you, Mayor Weir. Just looking at the recommendation of exploring opportunities for improved health services, it's a very broad statement. So I realize it's maybe purposeful that it's done like that, but I think we need to maybe narrow it down to what we think we need to do to improve health services. So something specific as a follow-on to that statement that would preclude a structure, a tool of some sort, something to help them out. But I mean, otherwise it places the township in improving health services more broadly than that, as you alluded to.
Thank you. How would we like to change the recommendation then?
If I may speak to leaving it broad, that was intentional, because it's not just Calabogie, it's township wide, so we don't know how the scope will develop in terms of the outlying wards. In terms of the structure of the building, there are a number of opportunities and best practices on what we've seen in other communities. So don't imagine a building just as a healthcare, as what we see now as our community medical center. It would be a multi-purpose structure that would allow a number of services to rotate through to support the people. It would also be tied, there's an opportunity for us to link in with the family health team, and that would create other services and opportunities for the building. What we found in talking to other neighborhoods is they've started off with a very broad, open mandate for staff. And then as we move forward, it will become narrower when they bring back to us considerations, options, a work plan, and a scope. But we cast the net fairly wide at the first launch of this, and then we narrow it down based on what we hear. But physician recruitment right now is very timely, and we are extremely well positioned at the provincial level. It's based on a score, and Renfrew, for example, is scored at 38. We're scored at 44. Above 40, funding opportunities exist within the province to bring in physicians, and we have opportunities. But
I think that's kind of going out of the scope of where we are right now.
But that's the reason for scoping, keeping it wide at the start, to explore all the options, and then bring it back to council. And then we then look at staff's recommendations and either support or narrow the scope.
So, Councillor Thompson.
I like the idea of keeping it broad in scope, because staff through the CAO can work on possibilities for a building, like as the school population grows, the libraries in the school, in the future, where are they going to go? So they can include other things like that, as well as fire, emergency, like all of the aspects. I like that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So right now, recommendation that council directs the CAO to explore opportunities for improved health services in the township and report back to council with findings, recommendations for council's consideration. As you say, that does cast a wide net, but I think if we leave it like this right now, and then once the CAO and staff can understand what the workflow or what the work would be, they may be able to narrow it down, and also it'll rely on what capacity they have to as well. And I'll defer to the CAO and get her thoughts on this.
I'm wondering if we should adjust to council with findings and recommendations for council's consideration. Maybe it's to council with a work plan for council's consideration. So it's more talking about a work plan and ways to achieve the project.
Councillor Lebec?
Just a quick, so broadly then, is this a facility? Is it a facility to improve health services? Is that the overall objective? To investigate a new facility to support improved health services?
Correct, that's part of it, but the facility, so I think the first phase is looking at an enhanced medical center, so a bigger facility that is not necessarily just tied to healthcare. Other models have created a system where there is corporate entities sharing the space and serving as a revenue base to create a neutral, an economically feasible model. But an expanded healthcare building that would meet our needs today, but also be structured in a way that it can meet the growing demands that we suspect in 20, 25 years from now. That's the trend on which most communities have gone. So it is the physical structure. And then with that physical structure are elements that are outside of the building. So home care, site visits, diabetic care, seniors care in the home, in their individual homes. And that's all part of a service that can be built in with the family health team. So it's partly the structure, but it's partly also looking at how does the medical side of this integrate with the growing needs of the community. It's not just the building, it's the people in the building. And right now we have the opportunity to attract physicians. We don't have the space to bring them up, and they're going to other areas because we don't have the facilities to bring in. But we could easily increase our doctor limits by 4, just through existing funding models with the province.
Thank you. A follow-up or supplemental?
I mean, I'll leave it to you guys to figure out. If I were the CAO looking at this and didn't have a background into it, I wouldn't know what you would want. Okay. Simple. I mean, this is just, I guess, maybe the way my brain works, but I would, if I were the CAO, I would want something a little more specific, goal-oriented, with something, what is the expectation at the end of all this? So we're going to, presumably, we're going to end up with a structure that will support improved health services, and, as you said, with options for funding, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you know, you don't want to create a goal that's super lengthy, but at the same time, this is, in my opinion, it's super broad. It doesn't give the CAO and staff enough. I don't think they could walk out of this room and say, what are we supposed to do? That's just my take, but this is up to the CAO to interpret that. And I know there's enough background that's already been shared. But again, if I was on the outside looking at this motion, I wouldn't really understand what that meant.
Thank you. CAO?
And going with Councillor Levike's comments is we do try to have resolutions that are straightforward. And if somebody were to pick it up, they know the direction of it. So would we be looking to adjust at this meeting or reconsider? And defer. Defer to adjust the motion.
Councillor Tripp?
My preference is if it's a minor amendment,
Could you please turn your mic on, please?
If it's a minor amendment, I'd prefer to amend now, just to narrow the scope. Maybe it's to explore opportunities to enhance, we can make it as specific as enhancing the existing Calabogie Medical Center.
Councillor Thompson.
Maybe it would be a good idea for CAO to say what she hears from this, and then come up with what you think your plan is, and then we'll all decide if that makes sense.
When I read it, because I have the background a bit of what's expected, and I've written some notes here, so with reading it, I'm bringing in background that what I would be doing is actually looking for options to enhance the medical center with a facility. Recently, it came to council with discussions regarding procuring lands for a community hub, so I kind of see this falling together into a project that's brings in this community hub that brings in medical also. So I'd kind of categorize it together as almost one project with some initiatives that are obviously not related. And what I would be looking for is we'll be working through developing my work plan and goals for 2025 and identifying actual achievable goals for 2025 as they pertain to all projects. I would be adding this to the work plan, and then we'd be able to develop at that time, and I could work offside on how that looks for 2025. So it's up to council if they want to, you would like to make this more specific, or leave it for now, and then we could review as part of the work plan.
From what I'm hearing from our CEO, that she has a good understanding of what this means to her, and that and once she develops her work plan, she understands the scope of this. Based on her comments and her understanding of what it is, I'm comfortable with leaving it as it is right now. And if everybody else is, we will have a vote. Councillor Levesque.
Just one quick, in coming back with the work plan, there would be a goal attached to that, an overall goal with a set of timelines or whatever, but the work plan would be developed from that, right? Mm-hmm. So I just want to make sure that when we come back at some point, we'll have a goal to do something by date X, and that will include a number of items that will be in a work plan to support that. Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried, and thank you for the discussion, everyone, on this.
Sorry, may I add one more thing? I'd like to expand on what I said to Councillor Levesque earlier. I think basically if you, I'm thinking about the future and my planning and the budget and going back to your doc request. I think I led you astray. I think maybe that you do discuss it, and if you want me to look into options of the cost, then I have the opportunity to do that. I'm not sure. Is that the process if you want me to research it?
I think
you were fine with your.
I was okay.
Yeah,
okay.
you were perfect. Yeah, you were bang on.
I thought it.
Okay.
I just started second guessing myself. Thank you. Sorry.
Very good. Thank you. We'll now move on to section 9.1. Enter into closed session. Resolution, please.
That the council meeting of September 19th, 2024, entering closed session at 4:20 p.m. pursuant to section 293(2) of the Municipal Act regarding 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically A, committee members, and B, CAO performance review.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Pocky, second by Councillor Tripp. All in favor to move into close? That is unanimous, so carried. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your patience. We will now move to open section 10.1, resolution, please.
That the council meeting of September 19th, 2024 move back into open session at 4:50 PM.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor to move into open? That is unanimous, so carried. Move on to section 11.1, move to rise and report. Resolution, please.
That council reports the following as a result of closed meeting item. 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically A, committee members. That council consider the following resolution as discussed in closed, and B, CAO performance review discussion item.
Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Tripp. Background, please. Resolution, please.
No, all in favor.
Oh, just an all in favor on this one. All in favor. Thank you.
That council approve the appointment of Colin Sutherland to the Recreation and Culture Committee to fill the vacant position.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Popke, second by Councillor Levesque. All in favor? So carried. Thank you. Bylaws. We'll move on to section 12.1, bylaw approval. Resolution, please.
This is where we'll have the
Yeah,
excuse.
yes. Do you want, what do we,
You want to
just
do- oh,
to
you're fine.
clarify, do we want to read them all and then sever, or do we want to just address bylaw 50-2024?
We're going to just address bylaw 50-2024.
Okay. Councillor Tripp, I'd ask you to leave the room, please. Thank you.
Be it resolved that the following bylaw, 50-2024, Assumption of Poplar Way, be deemed read a second and final time and passed by council.
Have a mover. Councillor Levesque, second by Councillor Popke. All in favor? So carried. I'll call Councillor Tripp back in. Thank you. We will now move on to the remaining 3 bylaws.
Be it resolved that the following bylaws, 46-2024, appoint livestock and poultry valuer, 47-2024, agreement with Schooley Mitchell, 48-2024, acquisition and Assumption Bridges Road, be deemed read a second and final time and passed by council, and furthermore, that 51-2024, confirmatory, be deemed read a first, second, and final time and passed by council at the regular council meeting held September 19th, 2024.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Levesque, second Councillor Thompson. All in favor? It is unanimous, so carried. Move on to 13.1, motion to adjourn. Resolution, please.
That the regular council meeting of September 19th, 2024 be adjourned at 4:53 PM.
Do we have a mover? Councillor Thompson. And second, Councillor Popke. All in favor? That is unanimous, so carried. I thank you all for attending today and watching online. Thank you.